good morning, everyone, and good afternoon to our UK contingency. My name is Jeff Eels, and I head up business development here at Layer. Number one, thank you so much for sharing your time. We understand there is a bunch of crazy stuff going on across every continent right now, so be able for sharing some time means a lot to Louise and I. We sincerely appreciate it. So why are we here? Layer is very excited to have found a partner within Louise of Plus Parts, really trying to see how Layer is going to fit in specifically for the FF&E world. My father always taught me that we're looking for a 1 + 1 = 3 situation, and Layer and Plus Parts have truly found that equation to be true. Louise has been in the construction for over 23 years, specifically 19 years in the FF&E space. So we feel absolutely awesome about Louise being in the trenches, seeing Layer, seeing the opportunity how to create efficiencies, and at the end of the day, become more effective, efficient, and make more money. It's always fun to actually hear from someone in the trenches as opposed to a sales guy. And so the nice thing is, Louise has done an unbelievable job of dialing in Layers specific to her needs, specific to her workflow. And we always want to make sure that we tell our partners, number one, thank you, Louise. And number two, give them the opportunity to share their story about why Layer. So with that, Louise, I will go ahead and hand this over to you. Just a quick overview. We'll be looking at some slides first. We'll have a quick second in there for questions. We will then dive into the Layer application, see specifically how Louise is viewing this in her day-to-day workflow, and then after, be more than happy to answer any questions. As Louise is speaking, you're going to see a question thing up here on the right-hand side. Feel free to shoot questions over. I'll be more than happy to answer those questions as we go through and as Louise is speaking. So with that, Louise, take it away.
Okay, hello everybody. So FF&E, for those that aren't sure what it actually means, because I often still get asked, is it stands for furniture, fixings and equipment. And it's not just tables and chairs. To a lot of you that will be listening today with a background in FF&E, I'm sure that would bring a smile to everyone's face because it's never just the tables and chairs. I always believe a good FF&E consultant needs to be efficient, achieve affordability for the project, and work as fast as possible. A lot of efficiency. It's a hard act to juggle. You know, if you're working on it at bid stage, you need to move fast. It's a fast bid process. If you're looking at it from refurbishment point of view and asset management, you need to make sure everything is accurately catalogued and checked and located in the right places. And if you're actually doing the installation side of it, you need to make sure it all fits. And, you know, at the same time, you need to stick to the budget. So why did I go looking for something to help me? Well, my problem was, or my company's problem was, the need to produce coordinated schedules, drawings, catalogues on a project. They needed to be quickly generated and they needed to remove human error. I used to work in Excel a lot. I think I broke Excel quite a few times. You get to the limits of, you know, the formulas. Can you actually add items up? It only takes you missing one item for your whole schedule to be wrong. Even worse, now that we're actually working with drawings and the expectation that the drawings need to be changed, the last thing you want to be doing is then being up all night making sure all the schedules reflect the drawings. Yes, you can pull them off on from Revit, but you know, I often get asked for a variation report. You know, what's been the changes in between the two. So that was the problem that I needed to solve. You know, I needed something that really could help me go as fast and efficient and accurately as possible. Now, Jeff, I think you guys actually had a problem as well, didn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. So the way Layer was actually started was about 2 years ago. We're located here in Lincoln, Nebraska. Our parent company, BVH Architecture, was actually awarded a large project for the Nebraska State Capitol, which you're looking at right now. It entailed some historic preservation as well as some HVAC work. Well, my partner, Zach Soflin, is actually a registered architect, He and his team had to go over and document 1,300 windows, 1,100 data, or excuse me, 57 data points per room, 1,100 windows, and 1,300 rooms. Traditionally, they were doing it with a clipboard and a camera. So you see Jim up here in the upper right-hand corner, all excited, ready to go with his hard hat and his clipboard. Well, as a result, we're getting the picture you see on the right-hand side, just a bunch of data. So at the end of the day, Zach very quickly realized we've got all this great data in ancillary situations, but it's not connected to the tools we actually use to design, which is Revit. So we're able to not only collect that data and organize that data, but then have that direct connection within Revit as well.
It was the common problem. You know, what you've got at one end of the design information, you know, you've got several obstructions to actually pulling out that information through. So there is definitely common ground when we sort of discovered Layer and what it was looking to provide a solution for. The other thing about FF&E, just to say, it does, regardless of what the FF&E is, whether it's new FF&E, relocating, refurbishment of office spaces because of COVID, you know, where does it come from? Where's it going to? Everything. It's difficult. You've got to try and find, you know, where it's got to go, how it's got to be, does it fit, will it go in the new space? In the UK, we also have quite a few requirements on space planning from British standards and everything else. It's a nightmare. So, we've also got on the project, you know, it isn't just FF&E. We need to interface with the rest of the design team, the architect, the M&E, the ICT, the acoustics, the whole lot. I mean, this is a snapshot through of a typical nursery classroom. You've got everything there from how does it interface with the clock to the level of signage, switches, acoustic panels, windows, the whole lot. And then from an FF&E point of view, is it new furniture? Is it legacy furniture? Is it new fixed furniture? Does it need purchasing? All sorts of things that we'll actually go through. So we're definitely looking to be more embedded with a design team than just being the FF&E. So why Layer? What really appealed were the fact it was so flexible. It was able to manage the data. It allowed real-time collaboration. It allowed Revit integration. For those of us that have heard the mantra about BIM, yes, this is BIM, but this is usable, friendly, easily accessible BIM rather than just massive document management. This is about solving a problem rather than storing all of the information and chucking out a whole load of emails to people saying somebody's uploaded a drawing. I mean, it's so flexible. I'd actually say Layer is like water. Water will take on the shape of any container, whatever size that container is, and Layer is similar to that. Everyone will have a different set of requirements. Everyone will work in a slightly different way. Even in FF&E, I will guarantee that everyone will have a slightly different approach or a slightly different coding strategy or methodology or needing to put it through for manufacturing. Layer allows this. It doesn't put a straitjacket on you and say you have to work this way. It will say here is a range of tools that will allow you to work the way you need to, but accurately. And just to give you an idea of that, these are some of the fields that you can actually use on the platform. Jeff, do you want to say about what some of these do, or do you want me to?
Yeah, no, I think the most important part here is the reason we design Layer is because we understand all firms work differently. Typically, project managers within those firms work differently. So the last thing we want to do is hand a piece of software off and say, okay, you need to customize around what we're providing. We want to take the complete opposite approach and say we want to understand your problem to be solved. We want to understand your workflow, And then our customer success team will actually customize that our platform specifically around your workflow and the problem you're trying to solve. So again, the flexibility allows you to really get this dialed into your specific needs, not only for project managers, but for firms wide as well. And when we get into the app, you'll see we have 22 ground level tools. At the end of the day, we're giving you the ability to collect the information you care about in the way you want to digest it.
Thank you. And the other thing that's great about this is it doesn't matter where you're working. You can be on your phone, you can be on your tablet, you can be at your desk, you can be on a laptop. It's a really good cloud-based solution that works really fast across all of the different devices, and actually having it as an app on your phone and that working just as well as the website application. I've tried and tested that thoroughly in the time I've been using Layer, and I can honestly say it does work very, very slick. In fact, I've just done a quick screenshot here of me working, how quickly it does actually scroll through. This is not sped up. This was in real time, just recorded the other day, where and we'll drill into this a lot more, but you can quickly pull up the information on any item that you've created. This is what I created for me, and we'll go into this more, but yeah, it does work really fast. Another really good thing about this is it also allows you to work with your team regardless of where you are. So you could be stuck in a meeting, or you could be on site doing a survey. Excuse me. You will actually be able to comment on something, mark something up, ping it over to one of your team, and they actually get it up as a message straight away, pointing them that there is something. And rather than it being just a generalized message, it will take you to the item that you are actually referring to and needing that person's input on. Jeff, do you want to say more on that one?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is the idea of real-time collaboration. We know you have not only internal people, but you're working with subs and contractors, everything else. The more firms I talk to, the more I realize there's email chains going back and forth and Slacks and Teams, everything else. What we want to do is bring all that communication directly into one spot, and very quickly you're going to realize how Layer becomes one central source of truth for everything in your project. So again, to Louise's point, instead of digging through email chains, if she were to say, okay, Jeff, we need to take a look at the west wall of room 101, with a simple ping, I would get an in-app notification saying I've been mentioned. When I open that up, it takes me exactly to where that problem is or coordination issue, and I address it there directly in the app or desktop, wherever you are.
Thanks, Jeff. It's also, as we've talked about, it has great Revit integration. I mean, it is essentially a Revit plugin. And with most people now using Revit and the drive in the UK, especially to be BIM level 2 compliant, I think that puts a lot of the smaller companies off in the UK. You know, it's a big ask. Revit is an expensive piece of software. It's hard to get your head around. And then it's all of the other compliance. The great thing about Layer is it helps you if it, in fact, I could say it actually gets you up to BIM level 2 compliant very, very, very quickly, which is a great thing to do without a huge outlay. It really is a user-friendly plugin.
And yeah, that's one thing to keep in mind. So the direct integration into Revit is a fantastic thing, but also realize Layer can be used completely outside of Revit as well. So an added benefit is that we have that Revit integration, but please keep in mind, we can keep Layer completely separate of Revit and still have the same integration, the same tools, features, functionality as well.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, I actually am not a Revit user. For those that know me, they know I'd be very, very dangerous with a mouse and a Revit license, but I still need to have that interface. And that's what I liked about Layer so much, was I actually could do my job without having to worry about, needing to draw it all up. I have design teams. I have a great team of people who actually do my drawing for me. I need to keep separate to that so I can actually review and interface myself. The other thing about layer is, leading on from that, is beyond the drawing element, it's more about workflows. It's workflows at each of these different stages, from the design through to construction, through to the operation of the building. It can literally be holding your hand the whole way through. So right from the start, it's helping with coordination, clash detection, surveys, requests for information, engagement meetings, tracking changes, anything like that, right the way through to contractors' proposals. Then during construction stage, you can actually be, your team can carry the information forward, review what has already happened beforehand, go forward, look at the schedules, raise any RFIs, continue with the drawings. You could have actually construction drawings, pulling forward manufacturing drawings for FF&E, going from the concept design into actual manufacturing drawings, and snagging. I mean, one of the great things with the app, especially, is it links through to your phone. And your phone has the best camera in the world on them. So you can actually be on site, you can actually photograph something, connect that photograph to an element in the drawings or on the PDFs and say, this is the clash that we've got, or this is the issue that we've got, or actually, can we have 5 more of ... You just don't know where things are going to go. And then during operation, actually handover, after the building goes, I mean, this tool's great for soft landings. It really is. It's so user friendly. You can actually hand it over to your client team and say, okay, here you go. If you've got any issues, or you want to look at anything, you want to use it for O&M information, you want to, raise any defects or anything, or just not sure about something, or, request for changes, here's the tool that you can actually use for it. So I think that's very, very forward thinking.
And we really are trying to reach that holistically, the full life cycle of the building, from design to CA to operations. Typically, their operations team, they don't have this great data that we've collected during design and construction. Imagine the power of having all that data collected, handing it over to the operation or facility team, and then they actually have all that data necessary to be effective with the actual operations of the building as well. So that's something that Layer is really striving for, is really connecting the dots for the holistic view of that building life cycle.
Yeah, we can't hand them those big files of O&Ms anymore that they can use to pop the doors open with. I'm sure they never do that. Okay, so that's the quick overview. Any questions so far?
Looks like we're good, Louise, if you want to jump into the app.
Okay. Right, so if it all goes to plan here, let's have a look. So what I've actually got here is I've actually got one of my projects up that I've actually put into Layer. This was a sweet little primary school that we've been working on. And the first thing I needed to do was create my FF&E brain. And that is my database of products. Now, this is everything that I think that might be needed to be applied to a school, whether it's a primary or a secondary school. This is every single item that, in fact, scrolls down a lot more than this. I think we can actually go searching for an item. If I have a look at chairs, for example, we've got a chair here, and I actually was able to create my fields for what I wanted them to say and what I wanted them to do. Just because I've created them this way doesn't mean everyone else has to create them this way, but using my experience of FF&E, and I've picked a bit up over the years, I kind of knew the structure of what I wanted to use in my database of information. Once I'd actually created that, I could then actually apply it to the school. And we brought in the model. You can see where you've got the R, that will be where, there's been a Revit interface. And if I pick on again that chair, which sadly I know the code of, if we wait for that just to liven up, we're actually having some progress done based on some of the work that I've done. Leia have actually evolved very fast over the last couple of months with this annoying Brit nagging them every few days.
We call you our chief bug breaker. It's fine. That's why we love you, Louise.
But one of the things that they're going to be doing, and this is where I can say, they really do look after their customers and really do listen to what their customers need. One of my needs that they're looking to address is actually, rather than showing every single instance where I've applied this item of chair into the building, they're actually going to group them for me into the different categories I've got. So I should be able to soon see under one category, I have got, 30 group 1 chairs. I've got 15 group 2 chairs and, 75 group 3 chairs or something. I'm just plucking numbers out there. So that will be useful for that. The thing is, I've also liked the fact I can actually apply a barcode to each one of these. So if I get a legacy survey done and I ask for it to be barcoded for each item, really, really excitingly, I can actually track every single item of legacy furniture with a barcode that gets attached to an item that then goes intelligently into the model, which means when the installation guys go on site in about 2 years' time and these chairs have moved around 5 million different places or maybe been put into storage, depending on what COVID throws at us, they'll be able to scan the barcodes and know where those chairs need to go. So really exciting. I think that could be quite interesting for the anyone from the manufacturing FF&E side as well.
Yeah, and that's the barcode reader is something we're very excited about. It's been a feature that we've been working on for the last 3 or 4 months, got it introduced. And not only do we think it has a direct implication for the FF&E, there's also things we're seeing in facility teams or some in design, things like that. So we're very interested, number one, to see how people use the barcode reader. We know it's going to be a big one for preventative maintenance, FF&E. So again, back to Louise's point, we listen to the marketplace. Here's what I need. Since we're a young, smaller organization, we're able to be very reactive, make sure Louise has the tools she needs when she needs them as well. And it just speaks to the partnership that we've developed over the last 6-7 months.
It's been invaluable. One of the other points, you remember I said right at the start of this, one of the most important things is remove human error and make it accurate. One of the lovely things about this is this actually pulls through the information from my database. I don't have to keep re-putting it in each time. And it's actually intelligently looking between my item code there and the item code that I've got in my Revit drawing. So it pairs up the information to actually make sure the right information comes through. So all of that then results in the reports that we need to actually produce for a project. And this is very specific to me. It'll be very specific to some of the UK companies listening in who have done this. But if I just open this up. So this is actually the project now drawn. And some of the reports that we were actually able to pull off straight away from that was, again, it's accurate, it's straightforward because it's pulled the information through straight away. And that's gone quite big. Let me just make that a bit easier for everyone to see. We were also able to generate our product books and allocate, be able to say, hey, it's actually in these rooms, you've got this item. So it's got good report functionality. I have to be honest, I did pretty this up a bit, but again, Laura working with us to actually set up some templates for us. So I don't think it'll be too long before we're actually literally one click of a button we'll have the reports. So
And that's, Louise,
straight through.
Yeah, and that's that we've been a lot of effort, and I have some friends on the call that know this as well, towards reporting. I don't know how many firms I talk to every week that spend hours trying to reformat reports, whether it be for internal or external use. We really want to give you the ability to slice and dice the information you need, and then we have output, whether it be a CSV, an Excel, or a PDF as well. And so that's something we're putting a lot of attention to. We want to make sure that our partners can customize this for their look, their feel, and especially for FF&E, when it's such a large part of this, we will be working with our partners to really get this customized to exactly where it needs to be as well.
So that's where I've got to so far with Leia. I'm sure there will be a part 2.
Do you want to talk real quick, Louise, about, I know there's, with Layer, there's going to be some original some heavy lifting on the front end, right? So before you had Layer, I believe you had a database kind of separate of Layer. Can you talk about how we got that database into actual Layer and kind of talk about a little bit of that process?
Yes, I'm just trying to close this down. I'll go back into the database just to, sorry, user error on, this is why they don't let you. Okay, so one of the things with the database, one of the things I liked about it was I could actually put in a CSV file, which actually started off with most of the information. So I was actually able to create my elements and item names for in that database view. Do you know what? I've actually changed several things whilst I've actually been putting in the data, because you think you know what you're doing when you start off on the process, and you go, yep, I know it's going to need its name, its item, its description. I'm going to have to see what the cost of the item is. Does it have M&E? Does it, because as we said, FF&E is not tables and chairs. I mean, one of the reasons we do the M&E interface is great little story, and I've dined out on this story many, many, many times. In a primary school, we often have to specify. Let me see if I can find it. This is what I like about this. I actually can go looking for an item with a search button. I don't always know the number of an item. So let's have a look at this innocent looking little kitchenette. And this is honestly a true story. We had a project where we'd actually installed a role play kitchenette into a nursery. And about 3 months later, we actually got an RFI through from the M&E consultants, and they'd actually complained. I'll get this back up so you can see. They complained that the sink was too close to the cooker. And we scratched our heads a bit, and we thought, there isn't a cooker. There isn't a cooker in the nursery. And actually what they had done was they'd seen cooker and they'd seen sink, which ironically were next to each other in the role play, and they thought they needed plumbing in and wiring in, and they should have had a minimum of 1 metre distance. Now, after we have teased them mercilessly about it, one of the things that Leia could do, if you've got your whole team on a project, and your team can actually go and say, well, before we raise the RFI, let's just see what that item is. And if you can actually read it there, and you can actually say, no M&E required, no M&E. I mean, normally I have to write the word toy at the front of that, and that can go through, okay? So I know that's a funny story, but that's a really strong story of why collaboration, actually giving people access to data, is really, really important. So actually having the database available there for that is good. You could also have engagement meetings where they don't want a particular item, but they do want something else. I can pull up a different item. So that's why the database is there. But as I was writing it, I was thinking, well, what does it need to do? And then some of the things I've actually changed around was, well, rather than typing in 23-roleplay as my category each time, maybe I'll change that to a drop-down list. And I've actually evolved how I've worked as I've actually put the information into the system, because I was able to do a blank sheet paper review of actually what I needed it to do. But that will change as I get more experienced, and because every day is a school day, excuse me, the pun. You do need to evolve, and this allows you to evolve with your data as you move forward.
Yeah. No, and I think that's the best part is not only obviously we can collect that data, we can do the mobile capture. And like I said, if we were under in 2301, if we were under files, I could simply pull up my camera, say add a file, automatically it would be automatically tagged specifically to that area. So back to my example of the capital project, we had over 40,000 pictures that we had to take and then document, then collect and organize. Well, instead of having to sift and sort through different file folders with those pictures, as soon as I were to click on that add file button, it's automatically to be tagged specifically to 2301. So again, it just speaks to the very mobile nature of everything and keeping everyone in sync. And the last question I have for you, Louise, here, what do you see as the advantages? I know you work with a lot of subs and you have a lot of people in the supply chain. How do you think this affects people in your supply chain, or how does it pick up efficiencies with the people outside of your firm?
I think the biggest thing is there's always been a bit of a disconnect. You know, everyone's drawing the information in Revit, but I think historically, I think it's still, there's too many manual interfaces still between what's getting drawn and what's being produced as reports and everything. And one of the biggest things is then inputting everything into area data sheets, and that is painful to input. And again, it's the risk of human error. And there's only so many formulas you can put into Excel to check that you have actually got everything covered. Also, things change. I mean, I've just pulled up this for this one item. You can just see all of the differences and changes I've made to that item all the way through, including putting in the word toy and then deleting it. It's that fast a system for actually tracking changes. And that's what I think is the game changer here. It's a user-friendly interface where you're not having to buy absolutely everything to get what you need it to do. And it's adaptable. I think that's what's so good about it.
No, this is awesome. We had a couple questions come through as far as the connection with Revit, and basically what it does when we have that model connection. When you see that little Revit R by the categories on the right-hand side, that means there is a one-to-one connection between a Revit model, whether it be a central model or a BIM 360 model. So the case is, anytime you're in Revit now, and let's say you make a change where you change a wall that affects the square footage of 4 different rooms. Well, as soon as that change is done in Revit, it will automatically be sent over to layer in real time. So there's no syncing, there's no updating, and it really plays to the point is now we can start to harvest all this great Revit data and share it with our non-Revit friends. So if you never want to open up a model, we can continue to pull that information from layer with that from Revit with that direct connection and still keep everyone in lockstep as
Yeah.
we go through this. So that's
But
a lot
also,
of big use cases that we really see. The connecting the Revit data to those non-Revit users is a big value add for our firms.
Jeff, the other thing is the people in layer can make the changes in layer, and that can then import back into Revit as well.
Exactly. Exactly. So there's a
It's going both ways.
Yep. So it's with that bi-directional. There's things like syncing parameters. We can do different annotation, digital annotations in your Revit model, then to share out to your GC. And then the other thing, we'll just do a quick tease here in a couple weeks. We're actually going to have a feature called a drawing set, which will allow the user to have a PDF or a drawing set, and then be able to link up layer elements directly on that drawing set. So imagine the power of that with punch list items or coordination issues. I'm now able to drop different annotation for a punch list. Someone can be out in the field, see that in real time as it comes through, and hopefully help pick up the efficiencies with a very tedious work order, whatever it happens to be. And I think that's the other thing. We, as a young organization, we have a long roadmap ahead of us. That's why we're really looking for partners like Louise to really say, okay, this is working, this isn't working. Man, wouldn't it be cool if it did this? And again, that's why we're really striving for the partnership with our firms as well. Any other words of wisdom, Louise? I said, number one, thank you very much for being a partner. We are extremely excited about this. Louise is actually our first reseller. So if you have any questions from our UK friends, she will be sending out the video and email contact information. Feel free to follow up. Obviously, we kept this somewhat high level because we wanted to specifically see how Louise uses this. But again, much to her analogy, it's like water, right? We can seep into many different workflows. Now, we can't be everything to everybody, but that's why we spent the time on the front end really trying to understand your situation, understand the problem to be solved, and then customize the layer experience to your specific workflow. So if you'd like any additional information, feel free to give us a call. We'll send this out with the email. We typically do 30 to 35-minute demos. We get in there, we ask a lot of questions, and then we'll specify that demo around your specific needs. Again, furthermore, moving forward, we typically start with a 1 to 2 to 3 licenses. We typically do a small beta test for a month. At the end of those 30 days, after we have everything dialed in, customized, we let you go. And I said, if we haven't proven our worth in the first 30 days, we go our separate ways. The vast majority of the firms see the value in layers, see the efficiencies that they're picking up, and move forward with additional seats. But we always take the stride. We're never looking for all your business. We're looking for the opportunity to come in there, prove ourselves, learn, grow, and share successes along the way. And again, I think that's what we have with Louise and Plus Parts and Spades. So if there's any other questions, we will hang on here for a couple more minutes. And again, most importantly, thank you for sharing your time. We sincerely appreciate it. For more information, let us know. And even more importantly, Louise, thank you very much for your partnership. We are so excited that we are in partnership together, and really excited about the future and what it holds for both organizations.
No,
So
thank
thank
you.
you very much for everyone.
Really chuffed that I found Layer. It was it was a big part of the jigsaw puzzle for me. So yeah, it was
Awesome.
really good.
Yeah. Well, this has been fun. Thank you, Louise, for sharing your time. I said we will be on the line for a couple more minutes if there's any questions. If not, thank you, and make a great day.
Thank you.